All right, so I'll just go. So I'm here with two of my dear friends, Colin, Byrne, and Baret, Tounian, and we're going to have a meeting of the minds here and dive into some topics, wide open, actually, as it always is. But starting off with the topic of multidimensionality, and just have some fun and share some of the things that we've been tuning into, share some of the tools that are really valuable in shifting out of this, for lack of a better term, lower vibrational 3D matrix, and do what we came here to do and get excited and have some fun doing it, because that's the highest frequency. So welcome, you guys. Great to see you. Great to be here.
Yeah. Thank you for having
Hi,
us.
Hi, Baret. Great to see you guys
Hi,
again.
Colin. It's always an honor.
Two of my favorite people.
Oh, me too. You guys. I'm just going to refresh my page. I'm going to invite people at some point, if they want to. They're welcome to ask questions as we get into this. And if we get to them, we get to them. But everybody's invited. So, Baret, why don't you lead it off and kind of, you were kind of the catalyst today when we got on our call, and this kind of came together. I've done a lot of calls with Colin over the past couple of years, but we haven't done one in a while. So this kind of came together in the last couple hours. So Baret, why don't you take it away and we'll just go from there.
I mean, thank you very much, Jeff and Colin and everyone out there. I just felt the calling today, and it started a few days ago, and it snowballed into this incredible energetic desire to want to call on you, Jeff, and obviously Colin, to bring this phenomenal dialogue exchange. And there's a saying, words have limitations, but interestingly, it will be the frequency behind the words that's going to be the opening. And this is going to be a mouth-watering conversation. And I just want to thank you both, because you've been amazing mentors for me the last couple of years. I've always looked at you with incredible stability, and you guys have really helped me work my way out of this puzzle, this matrix system that we've been living in. And, it's just now it's a pleasure to be in it, because there's a saying, there's a struggle behind the meaning. But for a very long time, the struggle didn't have meaning. And having met both of you, it has enhanced and it has added a phenomenal meaning behind the struggle. And reference to the hot topic of multidimensionality, Colin, I mean, recently we touched base reference to the hologram, and that our soul is just projecting this incredible vessel, and it's thanks to this vessel that our soul is evolving to a higher perspective. And I'm looking forward to some key moments which Colin and Jeff are just going to bring to the table. And I've been a phenomenal student for a very, very long time, and I thank you both. And this is going to be a really good exchange of energies right now, which is going to help the planet move to a much higher perspective. But I'll hand it back to Colin and Jeff, and not steal the show too much, and just bless you for being in my life. Love you both very much.
Thank you, Beth. You're a very powerful mirror as well. And to come together and to be able to do this with like-minded people, with the only intention of uplifting everyone, which is really everybody's our mirror, is just, I mean, that's the whole name of the game, So I'm very, very honored, and thank you for the kind words from both of you. To be in your company is very humbling and honoring for me as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So Colin,
thank you.
You were saying you got a new download last night?
Yeah, I did. They actually told me I was going to get a download, and I had to prepare for it because I had some stuff in my auric fields that I had to get rid of, some miasms and toxins. So I did a bit of preparation for the work. And last night, as I was going to sleep, I just heard this sound coming through in my inner ear, and I knew that was going to happen. And the downloads happen very quickly. I mean, they can last for a couple of seconds, but within that small space of time, a lot of information comes through, and then I have to sort of, kept me awake for a couple of hours trying to work out what was in that message. Because they don't give me words, they give me vibrations and sound tones and pictures, and that I have to kind of figure out what they're telling me. And basically, what they were saying is that all is going according to plan, and everything is the way it should be. They said we're in a momentum building phase, and now there are 142 different countries involved in this. So they said it's like a vast orchestra, with many people and personalities all over the world who have to be harmonized. Their instruments have to be tuned. They have to tune into what's happening, and they have to play from the same hymn book and the hymn sheets and music sheets. So it becomes a harmonic resonance, and that's very important to create the morphogenetic field or standing scalar wave in order to hold form of this new frequency that is coming in, that is the new Earth. Now, that might sound like airy fairy stuff and people don't understand it. I understand it, but what it means is really that people have to be in harmonic vibration with each other in order to attract more of the frequencies that are coming in, and then to put it out there. And I see that happening all the time because, although, we're just three people, but the people all over the world who are doing the same work. And I'm just amazed at how many people are involved in all of this now. 10 years ago, I could maybe find a dozen or so people who really were involved, but now it has exploded to hundreds of people are broadcasting and having their shows on social media. So what they were saying is we're in a momentum building phase that is happening. And then this other thing that told me that the wizards and warlocks, the wizard behind the curtain, they're now in their sights. And this is a multi-level approach that's been happening, and so far the focus has been on the corporations, and governments are also corporations. So they've been focusing on the heads of governments and heads of corporations and the corporate structures. Just a minute. I'm busy now. I can't speak to you. Okay, please go away.
Okay.
Okay.
You can.
Yeah, I know you can, but I can't speak to you now. Okay.
Okay. No, fine.
It's a friend of mine. He does our garden work. So they're really going after the wizards and warlocks, and but as I said, it's a multi-level thing, and some of the alliance are going after the heads of corporations and governments. But now their attention is turning to the wizards and the warlocks, and they've been hiding themselves behind a veil of secrecy and anonymity. So they very seldom see. We don't know who they are because they operate on a very closed system. And what I mean by that, they're about 300, a family group of about 300 who only pass on that information. Each one of them passes that on to a number of people, who then the intermediaries, who then pass that information and spread it wide. And the wizards the people at the corporate level don't know who the wizards and warlocks are, because they've got this front group who act on their behalf. But now the sights are turning towards the wizard behind the screen to expose that. So they said there are going to be a number of disclosures coming on and the exposure is there to increase the momentum. And momentum is very important in any force. For any movement, if you want to gain traction, you have to gain momentum. So this momentum going forward is going to be very important. And they commended, all the Earth Alliance beings who are working together with them to create that momentum. And these exposures, these disclosures that are going to come up are going to expose a lot of the stuff that's been happening at government and corporate level. And it'll be a vast number of things. We already be seeing the exposure of the child trafficking. We've seen that exposure of the human trafficking, the organ harvesting, the drug trade. Yesterday there was a big operation that was carried out worldwide where they arrested approximately 800 drug traffickers. And you see, because the wizards and warlocks don't care about the world's economy really. They operate on the black market. They trade in not only off planet, where they trade minerals and humans, but they're also involved in the drug trafficking and human trafficking and the child trafficking, and many other nefarious kind of means of gaining income for themselves. Now they, over the many thousands of years, have stored up a vast number of resources that they own, in land, in minerals, mining rights, mines. They own the shipping companies, the railroads, and they've got fingers in many pies. So they've stored up for themselves a vast number of wealth that they've hoarded, and they control the economies of the world by releasing some of this black market money into the economies where they see fit, so they can manipulate economies wherever they want to. And they often do this through their reserve bank systems. What they do is through the what's it called, the monetary fund, the International Monetary Fund, and then the International Monetary passes this black market money down the line to the corporate bankers, and they're not really concerned about the fiat currencies on this planet because they realize it's just paper money. There's nothing backing them. They only want to own the resources that backs the income. And of course, one of the resources they own are human beings through the birth registries of, that happen around the world. That we are actually, when we, are born, we entered into a registry and we then become the property of the government, but we're really owned by the wizards and the warlocks. And we don't understand this, the contracts that we enter into by doing that, because we're infants, we're babies, we don't know, and we entered into this through our parents. But they don't differentiate between, implied or implicit or explicit consent. As long as they have implicit consent, if you are silent and you go along with that, they assume that to be consent, which is actually in the law of contracts. If you don't say no, then they will just assume that you have said yes, and so that contracts us into their system. So they've been controlling things here for a long time, and But now the alliance, the Guardian Alliance, with the off-planetary guys are turning their sights on the wizards and the warlocks. So there's going to be an acceleration of information coming through, disclosures, and then, they're going to pull the curtain on the wizards and warlocks. and they will have to give up because they can't control this planet if they don't control their system, the matrix. And many of them are just people like us, but as they are born with certain blood groups within certain RH negative blood types. But I must explain that not everyone who has RH negative is a negative being, because the RH negative blood only gives one a propensity and a potential to be negative. You have to go through certain rites as a child and certain deprivations and beatings and so on, until you lose. It splits the mind into two. This is very much ultra mind control system, and so these people lose empathy and they become sociopaths and psychopaths. So they're not very nice people, but if you met them in the street or met them somewhere, they would be the nicest people you could meet and very gracious and kind. Well, they can afford to be because they control everything. So their value system is completely different to human value systems. They just want the assets. They want to own everything. But the Guardians are going to make sure that the curtain is pulled and the wizards and the warlocks are exposed. They also told me that certain countries are going to be very important in this, and it's the USA, the UK, the Benelux countries, which is Belgium, Netherlands, Liechtenstein, and then there's going to be France. Is going to be important. The Vatican, Russia, China, and Switzerland, because there's been an alliance between those countries, an unspoken of alliance to be the puppets of the warlocks, and a lot of their earth resources are managed and owned. The title deeds are managed and owned in those countries. So it's up to the people to actually begin to understand what has been happening on this planet, and to push the momentum forward, so that it creates. Now, I understand it from an energetic perspective, because if you create a system and the system gains momentum like a flywheel on any device, and once it gains a certain momentum, it's almost unstoppable. But what it's doing, it's creating a standing scalar wave, and that standing scalar wave, there are different kinds of standing scalar waves, but the standing scalar waves is the morphogenetic field. And a morphogenetic field holds form. So in the hologram, we're projecting the hologram into a morphogenetic field that holds the form of the consciousness of the beings that are producing the hologram. So that's kind of how it works. So, we have to change the hologram. That's in a sense what we have to do, is not change the world, not change people. We have to change the hologram. And we are the projectors of the hologram, and we have to take responsibility for that. And that's not an easy task. It's not an easy thing to even accept it, that you're living in a hologram. Many people I've spoken to just can't get their heads around that. And I understand that, because when I first learned about it, I thought this was a crazy notion. But once I understood the energetic technologies that work behind creating the hologram, it became a lot easier to understand. It's like watching a video. You put a video into your CD-ROM, and then that plays the video. But what's it playing? It's playing the metadata that's contained on the disc. It's playing music. It's like in the old days, they used to actually create the films, and you saw the films, but the CD is producing metadata that gets translated by the TV or the monitor you're watching on, and that's shown as a picture. Now, the hologram sort of works the same way. It's the metadata behind the hologram that creates the hologram. So we have to change the metadata. We have to rethink how reality works. We have to rethink what we've been told. We have to rethink everything, and in order to create this new reality. So I've kind of hogged the screen
Great
for a while.
information. Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Great.
we on the right trajectory, and things are, I've had confidence in this working out for a long time. And, because I've got a very big download in 2014 where the kind of many scenarios that were going to play out, and we saw them all play out, all the false flags that happened since then, and the wizards and warlocks plan long term. They have long term plans that they put in place, and they play according to these plans. But their plans got disrupted when Donald Trump became president of the United States. That changed everything, because he not only changed their plans, but he changed the outcomes that they were hoping for. So they had to bring forward a lot of their plans in order to reshape and get everyone back into the matrix mindset. And so they had to steal the elections from Donald Trump, and they had to do certain things, which they did. But their plans are coming to naught because they're going to be exposed. That everyone who had half a brain could know that nobody in their right mind would Biden. And he probably only got 25% of the vote in America, if that.
Colin, do you feel, sorry to interrupt you, but do you feel that the vast percentage, I mean, not just in America, do you think that they were under a spell to a point because they've been having the technologies that were around? Or do you think it was the trauma at birth, or a combination of both? Because when we're saying people were dumbed down, it's just a case of, like, you can look at many factors, from water, from air, from food, but also possibly a particular frequency that was playing out. And I take that now, and you crystallized, having the connection with you, that they were taken off grid as well, the powers that be, for quite a long time, that they've actually been escorted off the premises. And I think there's a large section over Antarctica where there's a bit of a gathering there, but they're losing momentum now, because, like you said, the crafts that are hovering over the planet, they're coming lower and blocking the frequencies. And so what's happening, the frequencies from within our vessels, within the holographic situation of the, it's now picking up pace, where we're now putting the cat among the pigeons, in a nutshell. That's exactly. But if we were to put a time period, we don't do the time thing, but I just sense that it's here and now, and we're just like seconds away, because I can almost taste it. That, but what I feel that we must be careful is not, not to be violent and to accommodate these beings that were influenced by the dark forces, and for us to be humble and welcome them back to some kind of, I think normality is the wrong word, but just to bring them into that space of love, the highest form of love. But this is a very unprecedented situation for the Mother Earth. I don't think there's ever been a time of vast awakening. Would you say that's true? I mean, it's...
Yeah, absolutely true. And it's, it was designed that way. And even Biden winning the election was designed, and it was allowed because that will enable the exposure of the corruption that's been, and that's why they've allowed, even in my country, in South Africa, they've allowed certain things to take place in order to expose the corruption. And the corruption's not coming out big time. We've got a commission looking into corruption, and the Secretary General of the ANC party has been suspended, and how he's fighting that suspended. We have the former president of our country who's now been to court to face the courts for the corruption, money laundering, and so on, that he's been involved in. And so all this corruption is going to be exposed, but as far as time is concerned, we should understand in the hologram, we create time. Time doesn't actually exist. We create time. So when people ask me, what timing do you think there is in it? I've got one answer. It depends on you. And
Totally understand. Yeah.
My neighbor's dog. He's come for his midday bucket.
Because the real us, I mean, we're all different frequencies, and once you remove all the labels that we've been indoctrinated in, once you take these layers off, we're just a frequency, and we're interpreting this frequency, this hologram, based on our level of interpretation. So the multidimensionality aspect of things really is going to kick in now, because as we become less carbon orientated and we're crystallining with this light, like you say, this plasma situation, because I feel right now, especially the last 2 weeks, even my attitude towards people has changed. It's like when I'm in their company, it's like they're kind of getting emotional. They're bringing it all out, and I'm really blessed to be able to take that energy. Well, I'm not actually taking it, but I'm helping them to actually dissolve it, and then they just feel so much lighter. Do you feel that more and more people are coming to the surface now, where they're just having that phenomenal awakening? And so if we were to put a time, I think it's here now. I think it's just here already. You just match the frequency, isn't it? That's what Einstein said. Match that frequency and you'll have that experience. So, this is really, really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. We're all frequency generators. We don't understand that, but our thoughts and emotions are real energy, and our thoughts are electric waves, and our emotions are magnetic waves. And when the two are in cohesive with each other, then you create a cohesive wave of information, and the information can get carried by the magnetic waves. So what they've been doing is disrupting our emotional lives by keeping us traumatized and distracted, and divided against each other through propaganda and indoctrination. And this creates this resonance. So we're not able to generate the kind of hologram that we want to see, because we're so distracted and so disjointed and resonant. But a lot of people are beginning, Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, understand frequency and vibration. And that's what it's all about. Like, what is time? Time is information carried by a wave at a certain frequency, and timelines are also just information carried at a wave, and that information is our consciousness in the moment in time that gets carried by a wave. And waves carry information, light carries information, sound carries information, and the frequency behind the sound and the emotion, behind the sound and the thought, will create our reality. We're projecting that light and sound into our reality. But another thing that they've done here, they've kept us in the consciousness of separation, separation from each other, and we don't understand that we're in this huge ball of consciousness. That is one ball of consciousness, and we are all that same ball of consciousness, which you might want to call God, and everything and everyone's God. But we've never learned how to be God to each other and to ourselves. So we keep serving other masters outside of ourselves who easily take over our consciousness. And once they've done that, they've trapped us into their time matrix, into their hologram that they project through us. So we're the projectors and they're projecting through us. So by controlling our thoughts and emotions. I hope that makes sense.
Perfect sense to me, but and I think it's beginning to make more sense to a lot of people out there. And, it's moments like this that really harness and bring us all together and to rejoice and to hold hands and to become one with this unified field, this God realized state of consciousness that, and do you also feel that a lot of these soul warriors that came into this dimension, that they knew it was quite a daunting task, but they were like selected because they very brave souls that have incarnated at this point on the planet, because to hold that energy, and I think a lot of them were born into the darkness so that they could engage, because that took me a while to put my head around that, because the more elevated you are, you're gonna be in very sticky situations. It's gonna feel like things are not really rock and rolling. I mean, but eventually you'll come to being and having that realization, and then that's when you, pardon the expression, you'll kick ass in love, not with anger or bitterness or revenge. It's a case of holding an energy that disperses that darkness. It's really good to be present.
Just one thing you said about some people are being selected. Now, I'd like people to understand that they're not selected, they're elected to come here.
Right. Okay.
So I asked my higher self in the beginning, why me? Why have they chosen me to wake me up? And they said, no. You elected to come here. You just waking up and starting to remember who you are.
It's like, would you use the word volunteer? Like a lot of people like beings volunteered to come because they felt the calling. Mother Earth was in trouble, and the calling came because a lot of people think we're beyond thinking, but they feel that the coronavirus and everything that's happened, no, this is a problem which is thousands of years old. It's just coming to this, pardon the expression, but shit is surfacing, and of course it's not going to smell nice, it's not going to feel, but you can, I mean, it just won't, it's got to come out. And a lot of people, do you also feel that a lot of people here at the moment, they bring a degree of comfort and stability with having these sort of conversations as well? It's bringing a feeling of connection, and so that people don't be overly concerned that this is a wonderful thing that's happening at the moment. Now, of course, things were suppressed before. Of course, it's horrible things, exporting children, and disgusting. But suddenly it's all coming out. And obviously it's going to be a bit too much for some people, but they've got to realize that as difficult it is for the ears, but the brute reality is reality at the end of the day. Just because your frequency is struggling doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and
the responsibility is on individuals to realize that all those people out there who don't know, who aren't awake, who have different points of view to them, are them. And their only responsibility is to be who they are and to project that into, and who they are eternal sovereign beings who are capable of the most amazing feats, and they have the most amazing abilities. And once they get a hold of that and understand that, then what other people think or do in the hologram is none of my business. That's their business. My business is to be responsible for who I am, and to be able to do that in a loving, kind, empathetic and compassionate way to other people. And if people would just get hold of that, the other people in your hologram that don't agree with you or have different viewpoints, that's fine. That's their business. It's got nothing to do with I can disagree with them in love and say, okay, you have different, but I like that you're different. We don't have to hate that other people are different from us, because that's the nature of the universe. There's such diversity in the universe that we have to learn to appreciate and adapt to diversity. But our only responsibility is for ourselves. And if everyone just took on that responsibility and began to project that into our hologram, we'd change this world overnight. And we're doing that, but not quite overnight.
Yes. And you said there was a window of like 24 years, I believe, that this window will be open for this. Can you just add a little bit more to that window, 24 years that you mentioned?
Because the ascension cycles essentially happen every 25,000 years. Okay.
Right.
There are various progressions in that ascension cycle, but we reach the what they call the stellar activation cycle. That's when the galactic central sun starts to connect through a series of dimensions and space-time continuum that we call planets and stars. Okay, and the stellar activation has set off certain frequencies during and that started in 2012, and that period of time lasts for 33 years, so that's 2045, and we're now 2021, so we've got another 24 years before we get to the 2045 period, and during that time, sometime the energy from the galactic central sun is going to come through. But we have to be the magnet that attracts that light energy into our space, okay? And that's what the beloveds are doing, is helping humanity to create this compassion, love, kindness, joy, peace, patience in the world, so that that becomes the magnet that attracts that energy. And when it reaches a certain level of magnitude, then that will release the galactic sun energies into this earth, and then that creates a possibility for the ascension of the planet. Okay, and because the Mother Earth is a sentient being. She's a soul being. She has the same soul structure as we have. She's just been doing this a lot longer than, and she's in a different stage of her evolutionary soul path. And so she's advanced, and she agreed to host this experience for everyone, consciousness on this planet, so that we can have experiences within the structure of the soul structure of Mother Earth. And so Mother Earth, it's also her time to progress into a higher dimension. And she has agreed to host as many as can reach that certain level of vibration that is compatible with Mother Earth. She's agreed to host those into a higher dimension. And the dimensions are just about frequency again. It's like you're playing in the bass notes in a piano, and then you move to a higher octave, and so you move out of the bass octaves into, say, the baritone octaves. So one octave above the bass notes, or it's just a different, because everything is about frequency and vibration, and dimensionality is just about moving into a different frequency of understanding. But because it's a different frequency, matter will be changed, because we are carbon-based beings. We'll move into a frequency where we'll become crystalline, our body. So we go from semi-etheric matter.
So basically, what I'm feeling right now is I'm very conscious of maybe I'm saying in my previous incarnation, I was less conscious of the transition, but right now, because I'm so present that I'm now in control of the steering wheel, and I have the pleasure of driving it and parking it and getting my new body. And I'm so excited. It's just I've got like few days to sit and study the manual, because it's hard to put your mind around the new body, because you don't feel as though you've got a body, opposed to the carbon base, because it's quite dense, it's quite heavy, and it's so anchoring. It's sort of, you got to go toilet, you got to eat, sometimes you got to deal with so much crap, pardon the expression. But with this new body, it hasn't got all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like it's exciting. I had an outer body experience, several outer body experiences, and the one I had, it was so exciting, and I was like, I was gone. It felt like I was gone for hours, but I was only gone for a few seconds, and it was like, didn't anyone just see me come up? I felt like Superman. It was just absolutely in awe and ecstasy, and really exciting having this new body. Maybe it's just my frequency toying with the opportunism of the coming of this phenomena, because I can't just drop into it, because it would maybe too much for me. So it's like step by step. It's like mind preparation for this event.
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, have you had any sort of these sort of incredible episodes? I know you have, but I just thought for the viewers, I'll just throw that in. And if you're in liberty to just quickly share something on that note at all.
Yeah, look, I've in fact moved through the dimensions 4, 5, and 6, but I had to learn to raise my frequencies to be able to go into a higher space of dimension. So it's a question of changing your thoughts and your emotions, having higher standards and values, and changing your attitudes. Because, as I said, time is just information carried by a stream of light, okay? And wherever you are in that process. And all time is simultaneous. So in a sense, what we experience now is the same thing that we are already. So it's just a question of changing your vibration into a higher state of consciousness, so that your consciousness is able to observe itself in the hologram of the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensions. Because holograms are not bad things. That people said, oh, this the holograms is just a hologram and it's an evil thing. No. Holograms is the way soul beings have the experiences that they need to have in order to progress to a higher frequency.
Fantastic.
Okay. The entire universe is created by us in the hologram. And it just depends on which frequency you're in. It's like which channel you tuned into in your television set. You're watching one program, but all the other programs are running simultaneously. And if you change your frequency, you go watch a different program. And it's really just about changing your vibration and frequency, so that your experience changes and you experience a different kind of hologram. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Perfect. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Thank you. How does that grab you, Jeff? Do you feel the same way, or?
I love these conversations. This is totally up my alley. And my piece of it, I guess, is from my teachers, is in simplifying how do we move into the higher dimensions. And there's really, for me, there's three pieces. And the first two must be completed. The third one is up to each person in their moment-to-moment journey. But the first piece is inner healing. You cannot move beyond the repeating lower vibrational 3D timelines if you don't do the inner healing. You cannot be holding on to judgment, low vibration, shame, low vibration, guilt, low vibration, hate, the lowest vibration. You can't be doing it. You can't sidestep it. And so what I what I'm really passionate about sharing with people is inner healing is not difficult. It's the mind that really doesn't want to let go of the story or what happened to me. And I'm not saying that there weren't some horrific things done to people. I had a pretty tough childhood myself, and so did many other people.
Yeah.
I journey with people every month and take them through this process. And it's simply a matter of understanding and being open to the fact that this was decided on a soul contract before we came down here. Can I prove that? No. But everything else I've tried to get around it, go over it, go around it, it wouldn't work. It's energy. And we are basically, the simplest way I can explain it, we're walking magnets.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we move beyond lower vibrational 3D timelines? By consciously holding the higher frequencies. So what are the higher frequencies? Love, kindness, generosity, gratitude, and one of my favorites, excitement. If you're excited, and we really should be excited every day on this journey.
Yeah.
If we're not, ask ourselves, why am I not excited right now? What am I believing, or what still haven't I cleared? So the first part is inner healing. And 99% of everything I've seen with people simply comes down to forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Yeah.
And everything that happened to us, once we forgive it and accept it, that gives us the compassion and the gifts and the frequency to hold that space of compassion for other people, because we understand what they went through. It's very freeing. And then the next part of it is dismantling the belief system. Our belief system, for the most part, is a prison, full on. Doesn't mean that every belief is a prison, but when my main mentor, Don Miguel Ruiz, got me to look at my belief system and write it out, I was like, oh my God, none of my beliefs are mine. None of them. They all came from my parents, my grandparents, in my case, Catholic school, where every day.
Jeff, something happened to the mic. I think the sound has gone down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might come back again. I don't know. When you just came forward, it kind of...
Can you hear me okay?
Now it's better. Thanks.
Okay. So the belief system keeps us trapped. And what happens with most people is the ego wants to remain in control because it wants to feel safe. It was set up to protect us in the beginning, survival instinct. Everybody knows this. However, now the reason why people get triggered is because either something challenges their belief system or something triggers the childhood wound that still hasn't been cleared. And so they get triggered. Well, what happens when you get triggered? You lower your frequency, you change the frequency of your magnet, and in most cases, you're going to attract that same timeline to come back into your vibrating hologram again, and you're going to get the opportunity to learn it and experience it again until you finally stop and go, okay, I just got triggered. I teach people every time you have a judgment or a trigger, because your judgments are all about you. Every judgment is about us. This is how they're able to keep so many people sucked down in the 3D matrix, because people are paying attention to the external out there, and the hologram's actually reversed. We're responding and reacting to what we think's out there, but it's mirroring back what we're holding within and what the collective is holding. So if you open this and you get this aha moment, you go, oh, okay, isn't that interesting? So anytime we have a judgment or we get triggered or we feel a wound, we stop immediately. Because if we don't, the emotional energy of that trigger is going to keep the story running, and we're going to react, and it's going to go, that person's always done this, I can't believe it. It's going to run up here. The key is the breath will stop it. We could drop down into our heart and we go, okay, I just got triggered. What is this trying to teach me right now? Then you can take away the aha moment and go, it's all about me. They're the ones in the hologram that are mirroring back to me the lower frequency or the wound or the belief that I'm holding. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. When you get to the point where you can thank everybody that you judge, now you're starting to accelerate out of the 3D timelines. And it's really this simple. You just commit to going, I commit to owning my frequency. And more than that, I commit to consciously and intentionally creating my reality first thing in the morning while my head's still on the pillow when I wake up out of what we call the sleeping dream. Because we're dreaming all the time. We're dreaming right now. And if you do not consciously create your reality with your intention every morning, what's going to happen? Those 50 to 80,000 thoughts that are running underneath the surface, plus everything that's happening in the external, is going to try and pull you back into the same thing. It's like Santa Claus carrying in yesterday's old stuff on his back. But when you awaken in the morning, you're actually in a very clean 0 point field. And if you're not, I mean, sometimes I wake up and I've had some tumultuous dreams and I've got to go, wow, my frequency's really off today. So what do? I use my breath to calm my body, to quiet my mind and drop into my heart. And I go, okay, there I am. Now things are quiet. Now I can consciously create my day. And for me, it goes something like this. I have attracted the most incredible people, abundance, health, animals, nature, synchronicities into my reality. Notice I said I have. Mm-hmm. It's not in the future. Words like hope, wish, try, those are weak-ass words. Yeah. Why do I emphasize that? Because they tell the subconscious that it's not here yet. Mm-hmm. And the subconscious only knows how to take direct, exact orders. So the thing they left out of The Secret and all the books I paid for and the money courses that I paid for growing up that never worked for me, they didn't tell me you must see it and feel it and align with the frequency that it is here now in order to magnetize that timeline into your vibrating hologram. Yeah. And it's really quite simple if you decide to take 100% ownership for what's showing up in your life. You either like it or you don't. If you don't, then you figure out what frequency am I holding or what thoughts am I running that are in lack or judgment or anger or shame or guilt. And you go in and you clean that stuff up. And that's what we're all here to do. And the beautiful thing is right now is that all of these frequencies that are being amplified, that are making a lot of people uncomfortable, they're actually here to assist. But if you resist, then what's going to happen? It's going to get more uncomfortable and more uncomfortable. Just go, okay, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm at least open-minded enough to know that I came here for this. There's enough evidence right now on the planet and the downloads and the way people are talking and everything and the light codes that are coming into the planet, whether I know that they are or not, they're here more than ever. So it's an invitation to tune in and go, well, maybe I don't know anything about that. Maybe I've never heard anybody talk about this, but maybe I'll be open to it. And the best way, again, I can simplify it is we are walking magnets. What creates your magnetic frequency? Your thoughts and your words, and then the emotional frequency that you put behind your thoughts and your words. So if you wake up and go, man, it's going to be an incredible day. Fuck, I'm excited. When I get like this and I smile and I love on every one of my cells, and I do this every morning because every one of these cells is consciously aware and they're listening to every single thought and word that I say, whether I'm consciously aware of it or not. So you get excited every morning and go, I'm magnetizing myself to pull in magic and miracles. And it's not magic and miracles. It's actually the law of frequency and vibration. And if you haven't experienced it yet, I invite you to play with it and try it. And you will slowly see that if you do it every single morning, do it for at least 30 days or longer. I'm telling you, it works. And this is coming from a guy that didn't used to know how to do it, you know? And this is why this is why I was suicidal on occasion in my 20s and 30s. This is why I finally sought out my teachers, and this stuff works. And that's why I do it and why I'm so passionate about it. And that's why I love getting on conversations like this, because they're life-changing. If you even get a little piece of this, or you come back and listen to what everybody on here has said, the tools are here. You don't have to spend 20 or 30 years like we did and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever. The information is here. It's just owning your stuff and going, okay, I'm at least open to the fact that I'm a magnet. Maybe I don't believe it. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. But if nothing else has worked, I'm willing to test it out. So let's test it out. So am I willing to get up every single morning and consciously create my reality? Am I willing to choose the words that I'm using every day? And more importantly, am I willing to forgive everyone that ever did anything to me and know that it was part of my soul contract? And if you can get to the point where you can thank them, then you really know you've cleared your frequency. Now, if this triggers somebody, like I journey with people, and some of them have been raped, some of them have been sexually abused. If you can't thank them, I understand. But at least you've got to forgive, so you're not holding that frequency, because otherwise you are more than likely to attract, people come and journey with me and they go, how come I keep attracting the same people in relationships? I go, it's simple, because somewhere within you, you're holding that frequency of not enough, or a wound, or I don't deserve somebody who's really good. And so it's quite simple to dive in and ask these questions.
Did we just lose Colin for a second?
Yeah, he'll come back.
He'll come back. Brother, that was so immensely powerful, and I really appreciate it. And every word that was flowing through you just resonates so. And being triggered, it's been a phenomenal teacher in my life, and I nowadays, if I do get triggered, I try to, what am I going to learn? There's something I'm going to part of me is going to grow, so it's like an invitation to grow. That's the way I interpret it. Because if we just sit there and vegetate, you're not growing. So if you expose yourself to the uncharted, and just stay centered, and then you get, because they represent that part of you that's hollow inside, which is trying to burst out and grow and get excited. So people listening out there, when you're being triggered, just rather than being explosive in any shape or form, just sit back, breathe, like Jeff said, and look at the exciting aspect of something is going to embark in a very positive way, a new temperament, new attitude, or better attitude, and to be in tune with the universe on a greater level. Because the way I see, if someone said to me, define perfection, well, here it goes. It's not easy, but for me personally, it has no destination. For me, perfection is a constant journey. And we just keep on reinventing ourselves, because primarily our soul is evolving to a much higher perspective. So it's forever growing and it's infinite. So that's my take. And why sometimes we incarnate in certain places within a certain constellation is because we're engaging and giving energy and frequency to lower vibrational frequencies in order for it to become more expansionated and to grow in becoming a higher version of its previous self. So these are truly exciting times, and I do hope Colin does come back. Maybe not. Maybe he's experiencing we're having phenomenal weather changes here as well.
Might be waiting. Let me pop out of here real quick.
Yeah. If not, we'll have to do another one, an excuse to do another one.
To me, conscious awareness is really the only game in town. That, and then it's creating, like art, nature, music. That's what we're
Yeah.
here to do. We weren't here.
Play.
We weren't,
We're here to play.
yeah, we weren't put here to give up 65 years, the best years of our life, to work, to earn a living. That's a spell. And then to become retired, that's one of the biggest spell words out there. So yes, we are in very exciting times. And if anybody wants to really fast track what they're doing, every judgment and every trigger is about you. If you don't stop immediately and ask, what is this trying to teach me about me? I guarantee you 100% it's going to come back again. It might come back tomorrow. It might not come back for a year. So if you really want to clear this stuff up, get excited and go, I'm going to make tracking my moment to moment frequency the number one thing in my life, because you're doing it whether you're consciously aware of it or not. You are a magnet. And these timelines out here, which are events, people, places, abundance, or lack of, it all depends on your frequency. And it just becomes practice. You know, I get triggered once in a while. Absolutely. Break out those Tibetan bowls, man. Frequency. You know, so when I get triggered, I stop and I go, okay, wow, I just got triggered. So I take a breath and I smile. Every time I smile, why do I smile? Because it relaxes every cell in my body. Because when you get triggered, that creates stress. That's not great for every cell in the body. So it's really about how playful can we get on this journey? And we're actually, the goal is to go backwards to becoming like little children. Little children are having fun, man. They don't have any limitations.
Well, they don't.
Rocket ship, they're flying with the fairies. They're up in the stars. They're doing it. There is no limitations. Why? Because they don't have a belief system.
Yeah.
They haven't been indoctrinated yet into that prison.
Fear-based,
so it's great stuff, man. I love it.
I just want to thank you so much, Jeff. I mean, I can't
there's Colin.
put enough words.
Okay.
Is it? Oh, he's back.
Right. There he is.
Well done.
We lost you. It's a little cloudy. I can still see him back there in the mist.
Yeah, but it's fantastic to be present in such great company, and we can hear you, Colin.
Yeah. I can't hear you now.
Oh no.
I'm not sure how his signal is. Colin's in South Africa.
Yeah. But
so we have 20 people on the call.
How many?
20. Did I show?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
and thank you everybody for staying on. And thank you to everybody that shares this with other people, because there's a lot of people that are actually watching, and some of this may be new to them, you know? So I'm going to look at the comments here really quick. Oh, there's Lisa. There's Carla. Hey, James. I love you guys. Yes, we got some.
Brother, I'm not dictating what you should do, but possibly we could end it on a nice fluty end.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting to. I just wanted to pop in because I saw there were some comments. So what I like to do on these when we have a great group of people like this is amplify our frequency, ramp up our inner love and gratitude for every one of our trillions of cells that has been loving on us since we've been in the womb, and really amplify and magnetize. And if you have an intention you want to set for world peace or anything that you desire to attract, great. And then when we ring our Tibetan bells, we will we'll blast out. Okay, Colin says he doesn't have sufficient bandwidth. Okay,
well, we'll have to do another one soon then.
Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to drop into our hearts. We're going to do a little bit of this flute. And then after we amplify all of our cells, then we're going to blast it out the entire planet and amplify the frequency. So thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you, Baret. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, everybody that's on there. And let me turn this on and get a little bit of echo going here. Yeah, and just drop into your hearts. And let's raise the frequency of the planet a little bit here. Here we go. feeling every cell? Are you smiling? Ramping it up? Send it out to the entire planet now.
Beautiful, beautiful, brother.
What an honor to connect with everybody. Thank you, brother.
Beautiful.
Everybody
Till the
for
next
sharing.
time.
Yeah, we'll do this again soon. Much love, and we'll catch up soon. Yeah, brother. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Colin.